All right, what's good, everybody? Tea Leaves coming at you with another video. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and, of course, subscribe for more soccer, football, beautiful game-related content. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. So today, I'm going to take a look at the demise of FC Barcelona. I'm going to look at the presidency of a certain Josep Maria Bartomeu, and I'm going to take a look at the demise of Barcelona from an identity standpoint, a financial standpoint, and a tactical standpoint. So let's get started. Josep Maria was in charge of the basketball section of Barcelona, so not necessarily football acumen. And he became president of Barcelona in 2014, following the resignation of Sandro Rosell. He won the treble in his first season, which is to say he won the domestic league La Liga, he won the Cup, La Copa del Rey, and he won the Champions League. This is the second time that Barcelona had done this in their history. Since then, Barcelona have not reached a Champions League final. The furthest they got was the semifinals in 2019. And this past season, 2019 to 2020, was the first season since 2007, 2008, aka the year before Pep Guardiola got there. That was the first season that they had not won a trophy. So they gone 12 seasons where they won at least one trophy, and now they didn't win a trophy. For a club like Barcelona, this is massive. Fans called for Bartomeu's head. And as Barcelona is a team that is not owned by an individual, it is owned by the socios, or members, who pay a membership fee if they are not a family member with a member already. Otherwise, you could be a member for free. They are the life and blood of the club. And they organized signatures to get Bartomeu replaced, or at least get a vote of no confidence. As a result, they got those signatures. Bartomeu resigned earlier this week. Now, where does Barcelona go from here? Well, let's take a look at how they got here. And we're going to start from the identity. Barcelona's identity, to me, was first established in the 70s by Cruyff as a player, and the late 80s and 90s by Cruyff as a manager. Cruyff, in his managerial philosophy, can be summed thusly. Technique is not being able to juggle a ball 1,000 times. Anyone can do that by practicing. Then you can work in the circus. Technique is passing the ball with one touch with the right speed at the right foot of your teammate. Again, this being a precursor to the tiki-taka we saw that helped Spain win the 2010 World Cup with a lot of Barcelona players. More importantly than this, Cruyff brought La Masia, the renowned academy that Barcelona now has, or at least was more renowned in the past than it is now, but it was an academy that bled through youngsters who were largely Catalan. Of course, there are notable exceptions to that I'll get into later, but largely bleeding in youngsters who are Catalan into that team, establishing a connection with that reason. There's a reason they say més que un club, more than a club. Barcelona is not only on the field a distinct identity, but off the field a representation of the region of Catalonia, or at least the representation of Catalonia as an independent nation. I'm not going to get into that before I get roasted by Spaniards in the comments. Please do not go after me. I'm just a white Jewish kid from New Jersey. Anyhow, Barcelona, even in the 2000s and early 2010s, had a large crop of these La Masia products. Pep Guardiola, a disciple of Johan Cruyff himself, In fact, I can't get to this part without mentioning that Johan Cruyff won the first European Cup in Barcelona's history, ironically with Pep Guardiola and Ronald Koeman in that team. And Pep Guardiola, of course, being a Barcelona Academy product from the region. We've seen nowadays, or at least we saw in the 2000s and early 2010s rather, a large plethora of Barcelona Academy products who made big impacts on the European game. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Messi, Puyol, Piqué, Valdez, Pedro. You could count Jordi Alba if you want, although I think he finished at Valencia, but you could consider him a former Barcelona Academy player. And of course, Sergio Roberto's still on the team, but he's not really that good. And those were players who made up a large portion of the team, contributed to a lot of the team. They were the identity of the team, a representation of Catalonia. Nowadays, we don't see this. Bartomeu has mismanaged the academy for his entire presidency. He's disregarded it, more interested in marketing Barcelona as a global brand rather than actually developing youngsters to get into the first team and spending large amounts of money on big players, which I will get to later on, but I have to focus on it here because it shows a lack of attention to what makes Barcelona Barcelona. And nowadays we see fewer and fewer academy products. Xavi and Iniesta both gone, Busquets declining, Messi still there, arguably declining, Piqué declining, Puyol gone, Valdez gone, Jordi Alba declining, Sergio Roberto, what does he do really? I don't know. And you've got one new academy product who's really playing regularly now, and that's of course Ansu Fati. And Ricky Puig is just not given a chance, even though I think he should be. So Barcelona looking less like the regional identity that we knew and loved even as recently as the early 2010s. And on the pitch, they don't look like it either. I will get into that later in the video as well. Now onto the financial side. Barcelona under Bartomeu have spent large amounts of money. This, ironically, being the policy of Real Madrid in the early 2000s and, of course, the late 2000s and early 2010s under Florentino Perez. Of course, Real Madrid are also a club that is run by the fans and owned by the fans. This was something that Barcelona fans would, constantly ridicule Real Madrid for the large amounts of money they spent on players like Ronaldo, Zidane, Figo, Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema, Özil, Kaká, David Beckham, players like those. And now Barcelona have turned into that. They've turned into the Galacticos with even less success. They spent a decent amount of money on Neymar prior to Bartomeu's appointment, but they spent a decent amount of money on Suarez too. Fair enough. Luis Suarez is one of the best players in Barcelona history. They then sell Neymar for a world record transfer fee. Okay. Odd, but you get 300 million something euros? Alrighty. Who do they spend it on? They spend it on Coutinho. Doesn't fit their system in any way, shape, or form. Never really gets going. Sent on loan to Bayern. And I'll get into the results of that later. Dembele, who honestly just cannot stay healthy. He's barely played. Most he's played really during the 18-19 season for me. Even then, he still had some injury issues. And of course, Griezmann, who just doesn't really fit tactically into what Barcelona are doing. So that's a lot of money that they've wasted on these players. Now, this wouldn't be a big deal had we not entered the COVID pandemic. However, we're now in a situation where Barcelona, because of this reckless spending, and because of their inability to actually manage their finances, they are in massive debt. They could be bankrupt soon. Their net spend the last season was minus 120 million euros. To put that into context, Atalanta got to the same stage of the Champions League as them, could have gotten even farther had it not been for PSG pulling out something out of their behind in the last few minutes of their game. Atalanta had a plus 40 million net spend. To get to the same place as Atalanta, Barcelona spent way more just to get humiliated by Bayern. Not really a winning model if you ask me. And of course, Barcelona mismanaging the departure of Suarez, not even getting any money for him. I mean, no one's going to pay for him, but I mean, just let him retire as a Barcelona legend? Nope. They let him go to a title rival. And now Suarez is forming a great partnership with Joao Felix, and Atletico look like they're going to challenge for the title, and they look like they're going to dominate Barcelona this season. Barcelona probably finishing third as a result. And, just terrible management. Of course, they also haven't managed their academy well. Of course, Bartomeu with the La Masia 360, a lot of players not being properly supplied with nutrients, so to speak. They're not being fed the proper diets. They haven't looked after these players, and of course, that's another way that, fewer academy players have gotten in. I forgot to mention that part earlier. But La Masia 360, of course, just a terrible waste of money that has resulted in the academy getting worse. So again, more mismanagement of funds by Bartomeu. And that leads into the tactical aspect. Since Guardiola, I'll be fair, and I'll start just with the managers during Bartomeu's presidency. Luis Enrique, he won the treble, but of course, it's been shown that he was not good enough to continue in the long term. Change of identity, they go for someone who really did not fit the Barcelona identity, so to speak, in Valverde, a more pragmatic manager. And, they did get to a semifinal in the Champions League under him, but didn't really work. And then, of course, they fire him midway through last season, get in Setien, who looked out of his depth, and now we have Ronald Koeman, who is a pragmatist, who will not play the Barcelona way, even though he was, of course, part of that Johan Cruyff dream team, but he's not going to play the Barcelona way. And they look stagnant under him. But they've lost that attacking identity. They've lost that quick passing. Of course, that's really no longer the meta. That's no longer the best way to win games nowadays. It's all about quick attacking, quick counterattacking, pressing. Barcelona doesn't really press anymore. It just doesn't happen. And, they look stale. Since, of course, 2016, I'll give them the Atletico tie. Of course, their mental fragility also has to be questioned. 2018, blow a 3-goal lead to Roma. 2019, blow a 3-goal lead to a Liverpool missing Salah and Firmino. And of course, it's Lord Origi that scores 2 against them at Anfield. 2020, lose 8-2 to Bayern. Coutinho scores 2 goals against Barca while he's on loan from Barca. It's just comical at this point. So, the mental fragility, mental fragility of these players, it's not looking good. And you can see it this season, to be honest. Messi doesn't look like the same player anymore. Koeman hasn't found the system that's best for the team. He's just going to stick with the 4-2-3-1. He's going to be rigid. He's a rigid manager. He's not tactically flexible. And of course, those of us who've seen what he did at Valencia in 2007, 2008, nearly got them relegated 4 years after they won the league with Rafa Benitez. And of course, he flopped at Everton. Barcelona having to shop for Everton rejects as managers. That's what the world has come to nowadays. And, this Everton reject has definitely not been able to get Messi in a position that works for him. Messi being played as like a 10 attacking midfielder or a striker doesn't really work. It doesn't seem to be doing the right thing. Messi scored 1 goal in the league this season. That's just unheard of. Barcelona as a team have scored 3 goals in their last 4 games in the league. They weren't able to beat an Alaves team who they had 80% of the ball against, 25 shots, 9 on target, and an Alaves team that were down to 10 men for the last 28 or so minutes of the game, at least. And Messi just hasn't been at it. But I'm not going to just harp on Messi because I still love him, and in his prime, for me, he was the greatest of all time. That being said, Griezmann doesn't belong. Busquets, he's done. Piqué, done. Still a lot of deadwood in the team. I don't know why they swapped Arthur for Pjanic. That's another financial deal that doesn't make sense to me. A bouncing the books kind of thing, but you swap out a promising youngster for a 30-year-old who really is not very mobile at this point. Ansu Fati is really the only good thing about this team that I see on a regular basis, especially while Ter Stegen, who I would have said is the other positive. I mean, he's dealing with he dealt with surgery, and he's going to take a while to come back. Their defense looks shaky. Their midfield looks and attacking, they just don't look very good. Right now, they're in 12th. Barcelona are in 12th. Now, of course, they have a couple games on hand. Even if they made those up, they would be in 4th place, behind Real Madrid, Real Sociedad, Atletico Madrid. If they only made up one of those games, they would be in 7th. Barely ahead of Elche, who actually have a game in hand on Barcelona. Both Cadiz and Elche, 2 promoted teams, higher in the table than Barcelona. Which still shocks me, but I don't think that'll last. But even so, I mean, Barcelona, yikes. 2 draws and 2 losses in their last 4 La Liga games. It's just, it's not good enough if you're Barcelona. And there needs to be a shakeup tactically. Koeman's too rigid for me. He's not getting the best out of his players. And he, there's not really much that can be done, but, if you're Barcelona, this isn't the Barcelona way. Not from my identity standpoint, seeing fewer and fewer academy graduates in the team, and fewer are likely to even break into the first team at this point. The reckless abandon with which Barcelona have spent when they used to occasionally spend money and not mostly, but get a decent amount of academy players into the team rather than spending tons of money like Real Madrid used to do. That's what they're doing now, or at least we're doing. They can't really do that as much anymore now that they're in massive debt because of COVID. Or, well, not just because of COVID, but COVID's made it a lot worse. And then, of course, tactically, they're not playing like the Barcelona way. I mean, I mentioned the 4-2-3-1, but I didn't even mention the most important thing about it. They're not passing crisply. They're not pressing. They're not looking to win the ball back. They're not looking to hold on to the ball. Or at least, they're not looking to do that all the time. They're not looking to take the game to their opponents all the time. They're not combining like the Barcelona of old. They don't look like a threat going forward because those Barcelona teams, yes, they were heavy passing teams, heavy possession teams. Even then, even when Barcelona has the possession nowadays, they don't look like they're going to create anything out of it because Messi's going to run at the defense and lose the ball. There, I said it. This Barcelona team just tactically don't have it anymore. They don't have the identity they once had. And that just about sums it up. I mean, there's really no happy ending to this video. Barcelona fans, let me know what you think, because I admired Barcelona growing up. I admired how they played. I admired the academy talent they brought through. And I admired how they approached the game. I admired Cruyff. And this just doesn't look like Barcelona. I don't know what this is. Certainly, I don't think, if you're Catalan, I don't think you can look at this team and say this is Barcelona. And it'll be a while before it's fixed. Again, this is a depressing video. Sorry to bring it up for those of you who are Barca fans, but let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.